I can edit out the first part, so I'm not super worried about that.
Okay.
Hey everybody, this is Sensei Anthony with another episode of the Karate Chronicles Legacy Edition. I'm here with my pop, Sensei Bobby Thomas, and I'm just gonna jump right in today, pop.
Okay, let's go. Let's do it.
I was thinking, I've seen in the martial arts world the striking tournaments, not Muay Thai, not Kyokushin, but the standard point fighting tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen it from a very different generation, a different era.
Yeah.
Aside from just the lack of force that's allowed,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say is is the most obvious difference? Because I was listening to some guy, he trained with Junri back in the day, and he was saying that today's champions would run circles around the older champions, and I'm not sure about that
Well,
because I'm
the reason why I say that, and I wouldn't put too much stock into it, but what I noticed today is a lot of guys, when they're out there fighting, they're jumping up and down,
yes,
jumping up and down. And all they're doing is wasting energy and making themselves tired. You see what I'm saying? And wasting time rather than getting in there and getting that point and get out of the way.
right,
See, back in the day, it was you inched up, you squared there, and boom! Whoever got the first point or the first kick,
right,
that was the difference. And there were some scuffles, with the fast punching and so on. That was fine. But to me, the thing that was the most impressive uh, uh, with guys back then that time is just that. It was split second time, boom.
mm-hmm.
The technique had a lot more finesse.
See,
You know,
I thought about that, and what made it funny to me was I hear people say that these champions would be running circles around them and doing all this stuff. A lot of them came from Korean-based kicking systems, so it looks more flashy. So like this guy named Raymond Daniels, good fighter.
mm-hmm.
His father was an instructor,
Mm-hmm.
and he did really well in point fighting because he was skilled and he was very athletic.
Mm-hmm.
But when he went into K1, he didn't do as well because he had a very energy it took a lot of energy for him to do his style. And if he couldn't finish the guy or get his points in and out, he struggled against some of those guys because they had gloves, kicks to the legs, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's not as efficient. Like,
Today,
yeah, because you see them doing this,
yeah,
and I mean, like,
yeah,
it's not like boxing footwork. That's
yeah,
more finesse. It's just you see these guys just go out there.
yeah. Look real nervous. They look real nervous. That's why they're jumping up and down. As I said before, when they do that, they waste time, they waste energy, make themselves tired. And again, the difference is the finesse. Because if you can strike fast, you're supposed to be able to block just as fast.
Right. Right.
And also then the I think there's more emphasis on good technique. You see what I'm saying?
Now or before?
Before.
I thought that.
And today is you just put your hand up and you got a point.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
rather than doing something actually. You know, it's really you just raise your hand and you just barely touch him. Oh, he's got a point. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
That's not the way I saw it. I mean, I see it today.
I always felt like it was supposed to approximate a fight in some regard, right? Or at least a
Oh,
self-defense situation.
yeah.
And so you see these guys, they go out there and it may be fast, but it doesn't seem like if I don't think if it does damage that it should count. I'm not saying you have to level the dude, but if you go out there and go, and then they've stepped away, they put their hand up like I touched him. It's like that's not what
Well,
this is
yeah, that was my whole point. Okay, but then again, too, all you gotta do is just touch him on the head. You got a point. I mean, because I don't condone going to knocking a guy's teeth out just to get a point.
for. Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all. Punching a guy in the nose or something like that. Okay, I mean this happened with me before. I got disqualified. Okay, I was a little overzealous, but and I wasn't happy with myself. I didn't mean to hurt the guy,
Right.
but
It happened.
it happened.
I mean, it is a sparring contest after all. I
Right,
mean,
right.
if you're a lifeguard, you're gonna get water up your nose every
Sure,
now and then,
sure,
So
sure. Oh yeah, absolutely.
hazard of the
Absolutely.
occupation, I would call that.
Hazard of the occupation. That's exactly it. But yeah, I think today it lacks the finesse. uh, you know, distance and approximation. You got guys who going to do a back kick from way from that
Have you
corner.
seen this
You
stuff where
know.
they're like, and again, I'm not picking on the Korean kicking stylists, but they'll be on one foot, just kind of like hopping across. They've gotten real good at hopping across the ring on one foot, and
Yeah.
then I'll go that, and they.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. The best way to stop stuff like that is get hip to hip.
Yeah.
If he's used to using his legs, he can't use his hands. That's why you have to be versatile in both. You know. But if the guy is a kicker, get hip to hip. You can't do anything.
Right.
And you can eat him up with your elbows and your hands. You know.
I think that the rule changes probably are a big part of that too, because there's no way you'd see them hopping on one foot if you could still kick in the groin.
Right. Right. That's true too. That's true.
Because the one thing you're not gonna be doing is doing all this stuff, hopping, hopping. It's like, yeah, that
Right.
dude steps in and blasts you in the groin one
Right.
time. One time.
One time. That's all it takes is one time.
Because the cup don't save you. It
Right.
just keeps you from dying.
Right.
You know?
Right. So if you just go in there and do your thing, do it with finesse, you know, and make sure. Cause see, one point at a time. Like Coach taught us, you grab, throw that point in there, and you bring it back. Ah! You know, you emphasize the punch or the kick. You know?
Right.
And then the more versatile you are, the larger your toolbox for that situation, better off you are. You know, if you have a front leg roundhouse kick, you throw that, then you come back with a heel kick.
Right.
Boom, boom. You know?
But I feel like nowadays people are probably. I think overall people might be better athletes because they've studied nutrition and a lot more people lift weights and stuff. But I don't think it translates to their martial arts skills because when they can do all these spinning kicks, it looks like it's just for show. Like it looks like it's much better for a movie than it would be for fighting.
Right,
They go out
exactly,
there,
exactly.
they kick and they touch you and they ah, and they go back there and they raise
Right,
their hand. I'm like,
right.
shut up! You didn't even
Yeah,
you even
yeah.
turned his headgear. It's like that's
Yeah.
supposed to be a hook kick, but
Well,
you barely touched him.
You have to keep them off balance. You have to keep them off balance. You know, because see, some guys they have to set. You know, they have to set before they throw a kick.
Right.
You know, with the punch you don't have to because it's just a blitz. Boom. You know.
Yeah.
With the kicks, a wholly different situation. But like I said, for a kicker, hip to hip.
Get close to him.
Close to him. Smother him. You can't do anything then. You know.
Yeah, and you see that a lot. These people, they have these really good spinning kicks, and they have a good, like a lead leg side kick, and that can be pretty hard to counter against a good side kicker. Like if you have a guy with a good lead leg side kick, that's pretty tough to counter. That's I don't know.
For a lead leg side kick, catch it right here on your forearm and your upper arm here.
Yeah.
Just let them catch that kick right there.
And then come in right after him.
Coming right after.
Yeah. So one thing about the side kick is when you get that leg out and back, there's a second where that person can come right in after your leg and. I don't know. As funny as it sounds, I think that groin kicking would keep those guys a lot more honest because they wouldn't feel inclined to want to. I'm not saying you go blasting people in the groin, but I think they'd be a lot more inclined to reel it in a taste if they realize.
Well, if they don't know how, that's on them. That's too bad.
And I think people had this idea that if groin kicking was allowed, you just have people just going out there and just.
That's true. That's true. Because it would be a very short term. It would be a very short term.
It would work.
Yeah, it'd be a very short tournament, man. You know?
Oh my God, that's funny.
But you know, people have to know how to protect themselves.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like the onus is on you to protect yourself. You have a referee who should be. If the guy is kicking people in the groin throughout the tournament, it's like, man, you got to tone those down. You can't be in there blasting people in the junk all the time.
Well, from the beginning,
right?
Either the rule is you can or you cannot. And the first time the person does it, you're out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're out. But yeah, they have to establish the rules and go by the rules, and everybody has to play by the rules.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I've thank God that a lot of stuff that happened in the old days is available online. Like you can see some of the old matches with like Joe Louis and some of those other guys. And I think the one thing that people nowadays doubt is the ability for them to keep punching. Because they go out there and they go, BAM! They hit the guy and back away. But then in continuous sparring, they seem not to be so fluent with their punches. So I think it can kind of create bad habits. What do you think?
Well, I think the problem is that They don't learn how to, or did not learn how to box and how to time themselves. Because you only got 3 minutes, right?
Right.
So you got to get as much as you can get. All right. So that means you pile up the points. Make them look bad, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, if it were continuous sparring, I would look at it like this. It's like I'm in the street.
Right. See, that's what I'm thinking.
That's the way I look at it. I'm in the street. Boom, 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 boom. He's down. Good. It's over with. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't go out there and try to throw 1,000 punches at. I mean, you only got 3 minutes. Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the whole point about the. I was saying about the finesse. All right. Boom. You got a point. Lay back. Okay,
Right.
boom. You got a point.
Right.
You don't get out there and run yourself ragged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think maybe especially in those kind of tournaments where it was like just first to 5 points, whatever. You just go in there, bam! You didn't have to go out there.
Right.
You hit him 10 times, you still get the same one
You
point.
only gonna get 1 point.
Yeah.
So there's no point in going out there and throwing 1,000 punches. You only gonna get 1 point.
I don't know. It's kind of funny because athletically, I think people have more access to nutrition and all that, but I feel like the old school guys were tougher. Like I think they had a different mindset. Like
we weren't concerned with the nutrition. We didn't, having being able to get a meal that day. That was your nutrition. You stopped off at Wiener Schnitzel and had 2 hot dogs for 15 cents when they were 15 cents.
yeah,
and you're doing great, but I mean, there were some people who understood that, and some people who didn't. Your Uncle Freddie and I, we didn't care about that. Hell, we had a hamburger and went in and worked out.
Right.
And we went out there and did our thing. And what we did was go to the beach, go to Hoya Shores down there, run that beach from Scripps Pier as far as we could. As far as and back in the sand.
Oh yeah,
people
don't understand that running in the sand. It sucks at your feet. It'll wear you out.
Yeah, and we did that and did some push-ups, some sit-ups, and most of our workouts consisted of sparring.
See, and that's what I think. I think that people would be better served if they conditioned their bodies and their mind
to do what they're going to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've heard people say, "I want to get in shape so I can play tennis again," and I'm like, "Why don't you play tennis again?
Yeah.
Tennis gets you in shape." I think,
right.
like as much as we know about weightlifting and all this kind of stuff, I just feel like there's something in the body or the mind that doesn't translate to weightlifting. Like if you go out there and get out there and really mix it up.
Yeah.
Lifting weights doesn't help you in your ability
No,
to do that.
it doesn't.
I call it striking fluency.
Right. Because see, people think that you got to have big muscles.
Right.
Big muscles tire you out.
They're heavy.
They're heavy. You're carrying on a lot of weight.
Right.
So I mean, if you're naturally skinny, work on your speed.
Right.
Work on speed. And your power. Speed is power.
I tell people that.
So,
I say Mike Tyson never threw a slow punch that was hard, and he never threw a soft punch that was fast. It's the same thing. It's
same thing all the time.
If you have good technique, speed is power. And I mean, like I'm telling the kids, I don't want you laying into the bags. I want you to just tap it instead, but just get your body.
Right.
They're so busy committing to trying to hit the bag. It's like, no, stay loose, find your distance, extend your punches. They're going, and their hands are only moving this much. Like, no, find your distance and turn into those punches. That's where your power is. It's like cracking a whip, right? But that's the hard thing to teach to people that want to go out there and thug it out, as it were. But
well, they think they want to do that until they get in the ring with somebody who's just as capable as they are.
Right, right.
And
it's all fun and games until you fight someone you're equal at least.
What am I going to do now?
Right.
Because then that person's going to bring the heat.
Right.
If you're used to just trying to knock somebody out, like I said before, rather than trying to finesse your move, it's like you're walking down the street, and you see somebody coming at you, and the guy throws at you, you slip it, boom, hit him back, boom. That's all you need,
Yeah.
Break his leg, jump in the air, kick him in the back of the head, knock out his teeth, poke him in
Yeah.
the eye, kick him in the groin, and
Right.
then say, "Why you do that?" Hey, you done already killed the dude, man. Come on. But you know, it's all your approach. Some people have that hard as nails approach, and then there's some people, okay, let's finesse it. Okay,
Right.
slip, parry. You know.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't feel like tournament fighting comes close to approximating self-defense these days, and it's sad because
No.
people do that, and they say this sucks and doesn't work, so they go to MMA or Muay Thai or Kyokushin or something like that is the only reasonable option. Like either it sucks because it's this little pity pat, or it's hardcore stuff that most people don't want to do anyway,
Well,
and it's
you gotta remember, MMA, those guys are fighting for a paycheck. Okay. So half of what they do in, let's say, the first round, half of what they do trying to feel the guy out. In the street, you don't have time to feel somebody out.
right,
You know, it's you automatically assume 50-50 that this individual or that individual is going to attack you. So
right,
you already know what you're up against. You see. So if someone attacks you and you grab them and do a see a knocking on them,
hmm
and which is totally out of their element, all of a sudden they're upside down, falling on their head. That's the kind of approach you want.
right.
You know,
Finish them quick.
finish them quick, finish them quick. That's why I say overwhelm with speed, power, and violence.
Stay on top of them.
Stay on top of them.
Yeah.
And they just went, whoa.
Like I tell the kids, I said, you may have somebody bigger, stronger than you. Sometimes you just have to be tougher, or you have to be more committed to doing harm to them than they are committed to doing harm to you.
That is the key word, committed to the attack. Commit to your attack. Kamikaze, you're committed.
Right.
I'm there, boom.
Right on top of
I'm on
them.
top of them. I'm done.
And I think
You know?
people, I think they overlook that part because they think it makes them somehow less civil. Or somehow it's like like it's the
Yeah.
cost of their humanity kind of thing. Like, oh, if I
No.
become that way, then I'm actually less. I
Well,
think some people think that way.
that's why they should be able to turn it on and turn it off, and to be able to in see in between those two thoughts.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
okay, my life is on the line. How much is my life on the line? Is it some homeless guy who's mad because he can't get some money to get a burger or whatever,
Right.
or some thug that wants to try to jam me up because he needs to get his fix?
Right. Right.
You know, so or somebody that wants to show off in front of his buddies.
Right.
That's the person who I would drop on their head.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure that out immediately in between. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
Gotta
I
figure
don't
that
know.
out.
I just like, I wish that there was, like, there's something called karate combat, which is professional fighting for karateka,
Mm-hmm.
and they have rules set in place so that they don't have boxers coming in, or
Right.
like you can't throw hooks, I think it is, in the
Okay.
traditional boxing
Okay.
sense,
Uh-huh.
or a traditional uppercut. They don't want boxers coming in and they just boxing people.
Right.
It's kind of like the way judo said in competition, you can't touch the legs with your hands anymore. They don't
Right.
want wrestlers wearing a gi, just
Right.
running there and tackling
Right.
a dude. So
Right. That's
I kind
understandable.
of like the idea, but if you watch them, and I was watching it with Jenny earlier, they
Mhm.
come from a sport karate background, so their distance, they had good control of distance, but they had these huge wide stance and they had one hand low. I'm like, hold your
Well,
hands
yeah,
up, you
that's-
see them doing this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and like you said, they just kind of eased out there.
Yeah.
And
Well, first of all, I mean, to do that, the distance thing, and then there's some guy. I remember this guy named this Japanese guy, Kuriyama. He would he would wear shades. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Man, the dude was fast as lightning. And he come there with his hands down, Boom! Oh man, or a side kick or something like that. That was confidence. That's pure
I'll
confidence.
say,
Skill. You can call it being arrogant if you want, but he won.
can't argue the results sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't argue with the results. But the same thing, you gotta have, you know, I wouldn't want to be arrogant or for so that I wouldn't slip. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
So again, overwhelm,
yeah.
speed, power, and violence, and knowing, understanding the situation that you're in. I'm only talking about in the street. I don't care about street competition. No big deal, because you're fighting with somebody that's has equal skills or better, or could, or well, they're
They're
in there,
close to. Yeah,
they're
they're in
close
there.
to, they're in there, you know. But that guy on the street, you don't know anything about that person, so you're the one that's taking the big chance because that person come out with a knife or a gun or a
Or
stick or
bad or
something like
something.
that, bat or something like that, and what have you got left? What have you got? You know,
Yeah,
so you better have it up here because you have to have in a situation like that absolute disdain for that person.
right.
You know.
See, and that's the thing is that I wish in people's martial arts training, even for competition, I wish they had that mindset of go forward. You know,
Mhm.
I tell the
Mhm.
kids
Mhm.
we're messing around or we're sparring. I say, you just kick me and step back. I'm
Yeah.
like, this person's bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
Step in,
Yeah. Step
affect
in.
them.
Step in.
You have
Step
to
in.
take that thing away
You,
from them
you,
mentally that bullies need, which is the idea that you're afraid of them. You know.
you know the problem is some people throw a roundhouse kick and then they pull that leg back.
Yeah.
No. You put that leg down and then you throw a front leg roundhouse kick with it and keep on moving.
Right.
You never give up the
Take this
ground
that you taken, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Keep it.
like it's because people either have that boxing stance or that super impractical stance. They don't practice throwing punches off the cross step anymore. You know, they or they do it once, bam, but they don't advance. They don't throw this way and then step in and throw again.
Because they're not committed.
Yeah.
Now, if you watch some, I saw the thing the other day where the kids were sparring.
Uh huh.
And they was going at it, pow, 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 and they was, I mean, they to the point where, I mean, they should have been stopped a while back,
Yeah.
but they were still in there trying to duke it out, you know, and all they're doing is just punching each other's gloves,
Right.
really, you know, but these little guys, you know,
Yeah.
but when you talk about the adults, you're talking about being finesse. You don't want to do that. Hey, you come in and pop, pop. There's your point.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you might have 3, 4, 5 more points. I mean, fights left.
Right.
So don't go in there and tire yourself out.
That's
Mhm.
true.
Mhm.
Tournaments aren't as big as they used to be. You may have 2 or 3 fights.
I don't know. I haven't been to one in so long.
I went to one a few years ago, and I was just I had nothing. I mean, they weren't even wearing gis. They looked like kind of like jumpsuits.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
have you
yeah,
seen?
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
what the
yeah,
hell happened
yeah,
to the gis? Like,
yeah.
what happened
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. Well, you know,
Ah,
times change, and the rules have become loose. You see,
yeah,
and so there's nothing you can do about that. But if you go to a Japanese tournament, you won't see that crap.
right.
If you go to a Korean tournament, you won't see that.
White
You
gi,
know, white gi,
one patch.
your belt, and that's it. But
That,
none of this camouflage stuff. Pink gis, no.
camouflage gis.
Yeah,
You know the
purple.
yeah.
Yeah, but again, the rules were pretty relaxed. I'd say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so if you go to a tournament, hey, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
To me, it's kind of like people not saying sir or ma'am to people older than them. You know,
Well,
it's kind of like, man.
You got to remember now. You got to remember. A long time ago. I mean, back in the '80s, that's when it started to change. I believe.
For sure. For sure.
Uh-huh.
For sure.
Yeah, that's when it started to change. See, there used to be if you could go to any studio or any dojo, and on the wall, you had the American flag, and you had the nation's flag of which you were studying,
Japan or Korea or
Uh-huh.
China or something.
and you had a code of conduct.
Yeah.
Now, nothing.